かな。
In a world where magic is a possibility, everyone else is learning spells and working on being hard on a magician. The protagonist, however, is the only one who doesn't have magic power and instead uses a sword as their main weapon of choice. A sword being stronger than magic. You know, that is quite absurd, but you never know what the outcome could be. Today's video will be covering 10 overpowered anime swordsmen who can't use magic. If you are new around here, then please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with the bell icon turned on to stay up to date with the latest anime news and recommendations right at your doorstep. Now, without getting y'all waiting, let us begin with the video.
言えない。1秒あれば十分だ。魂を研ぎ澄ませ。駆け抜けろ。極限の一瞬を。
Starting this list off with a very popular anime back in the good old days, and that is Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, made by Silverlink in 2015. This anime was really popular. It's such an action-packed series set in a fantasy world where the protagonist Iki is the weakest F-rank blazer in the entire academy because he is incapable of using magic like others. Watching this felt like, you know, I was in his shoes, the odd one out, everyone making fun of him, while he tries to prove to everyone else in the world wrong that even the weakest like him can easily become the strongest. The characters all feel very realistic with their interaction, especially the romance between Stella and Iki, one of the best couple in anime in my opinion. Now just remember, if you never had the chance to see this anime, it is a must watch on this list.
第4試験。新規を。
It's actually quite easy to describe what Taimadou Gakuen 35 really is, just like the reputation of the Small Fry Platoon being described as a group of failures at school known as the 35th Test Platoon of Anti-Magic Academy. It's another one of Silverlink's adaptations that unfortunately didn't really make many fans of the show too happy, as it did have a lot of missed potential, but still quite the entertaining show with the protagonist using a sword while everyone else uses magic. Because Silverlink wanted to do so much and so little, a lot of the content was in the original light novel was kind of cut out to the point where most of it was just happening that didn't really make a lot of sense or was made so insignificant that even if it was key to the plot, you would never know whether or not it was. Chillin in my 30s after getting fired from the Demon King's army. The title of the series pretty much describes the actual plot of the show. The protagonist Dariel was a humble yet weakling soldier of the Demon Lord's army and was pretty much fired from his position and kicked out of the army completely for being incapable of using any sort of magic at all and was seen as a hindrance to the army itself. Now Dariel is just a regular human with powerful sword skills. He can easily wipe out even strong monsters. Think of it as this, it's a fantasy slice-of-life series mixed in with some action as Dariel tries to find a place where he can truly belong in this world and perhaps, maybe perhaps, a chance to actually even return to the Demon Lord's army. That is, if they choose to take him back. But so far, it's a very fun series and one of the highlights of this season in my opinion for a brand new anime. Black Clover is one of the most talked about popular shonen anime series currently, once starting as a complete underdog and being hated, to now becoming one of the greatest shonen series of all time. The protagonist Asta is born without magic in a world where magic means everything. His dream to become a magic knight seems so far beyond his reach because he never got a grimoire or any abilities whatsoever, even though his physical build actually looks really good. That of course, however, all changes when he gets a mysterious black grimoire where he gets demonic powers and also a giant sword with anti-magic capabilities. Pretty much, if he can't use magic spells, he can at the very least negate magic from others with ease. It's such an addicting storyline with exciting characters and a journey unlike before. This anime here is called Ningen Fushi, developed by Studio Geeks Toys, and is currently airing for the winter 2023 season, with a total of 4 protagonists who each have their own issues as to why they feel lonely, but in the end, they all just do not trust anyone but themselves until fate brings them together to where they form a party to work together. It's a storyline of how these individuals felt betrayed or maybe even kicked out of their group to forming a new one that gives them an actual chance to once again feel alive and make some money. Each character has a great personality, some can use magic while others can't, but in the end, teamwork is key to surviving dungeons and also getting rich.
あいにくいたいけな猫ちゃんをいたぶる趣味はないんだ。
How refreshing can this series be? After defeating the great Demon King and stealing his daughter all to himself, our beloved hero Akatsuki returns from Fantasyland as an overpowered being who can't use magic but instead wields a giant sword as his main weapon of choice. He rides lightning-charged motorcycles, gets the attraction of girls, and also crushes others with ease. It's such a refreshing character and premise indeed, but does refreshing exempt the rest of the show from being quite mediocre? Well, one of the most enjoying factors of this anime is actually the protagonist himself, Akatsuki. He's bold, energetic, and he just likes to mess around knowing he's a powerhouse and can beat anyone who challenges him. Keep in mind though, it's a very ecchi series to the point where things can get a little crazy, but overall, I do think this is worth your time. Our Last Crusade tells the story of a young man named Isuka caught in between a conflict involving the Heavenly Empire and also the Nebulous Sovereignty. To put it simply, they are two sides with different ideologies and even utilize different tactics as part of its culture. The Heavenly Empire relies on its advanced technology, while the Nebulous Sovereignty utilizes its magic users. It's pretty much a conflict of science versus magic, a very common trend in military fiction. But what makes this anime mediocre kind of relies on the ultimate execution of the show's ideas. I remember the first time when the trailers and the promotional material debuted, it became obvious why the anime is designed with such a way to pit two important characters together. Isuka and Alice both represent the opposite spectrum of an ongoing war. Peace is a far cry from being achieved, although it does appear that both characters desire the war to end as they both develop a rather strange relationship of enemies getting along.
Darkness, Aesthetica!
This anime here features a female protagonist being a cat girl and the male protagonist taking the form of a sword that has been reincarnated. Reincarnated as a sword sounds like a boring gimmick, but it does do a very surprising job of mixing classic fantasy and isekai together. The man as the sword is of course somewhat overpowered, but is stronger when wielded by an actual swordsman. As it so happens, a cute black girl finds him and he handicaps himself in a way in order to be her sword and protects her, since she's actually very weak by herself without him, since she is incapable of using any magic or any sort of abilities without the sword. It's one of the more recent isekai that have aired, and I can pretty much say I really enjoyed this. The fact that it's also getting a sequel very soon, it does make me very happy to see a good isekai get a well-deserved sequel. fantasy is genuinely known as it's all about adventure, to be honest. It's about going outside of your comfort zone, seeing a new place and a new face of yourself, and being changed by the time you return home. Anime like that is filled with believable cause and effect. And then there is the Sacred Blacksmith. This anime here aired in 2009 by Studio Mangalope, a company that kinda went bankrupt and no longer exists, unfortunately, but hey, at least they've done a handful of good anime in their days. Your first impression are that this is going to be a big disappointment. Sure, it may not be the best, but it still is very enjoyable. There wasn't any surprises, nothing new, but in the end, it was at the very least, you know, a fun watch. Don't judge it by the first few episodes. It does get a lot more better to, you know, just to improve and build up to something a lot more exciting that you would want to see. But in the end, it is a very underrated anime. If you have not seen it, then you should definitely give it a shot.
I'll destroy it from the inside! There's no use.
Now, finally, to end this list off, I'm recommending to you all is Chain Chronicles. The story is very simple and philosophically deep, but lacking at the same time. That's probably the only weak point of the show for me, to be honest. I really do wish they do more on the story department, but given the source material, there wasn't really much to work with. The anime started off with the bad guy who came out victorious over the good guy, and the land is slowly turning into darkness. Yet, per usual, that would not stop our band of heroes from trying to stop the villains, because hey, who else is going to do it, right? It is purely an adventure anime set in a fantasy world, and it's a very good one at doing that. The animation is really good, especially in every fight scene. Oh, it does feel like it's some kind of an RPG video game at times. It doesn't have any isekai elements, but purely focuses on fantasy series at its core, which is done very well.
Time to come back! Wake up, you idiot!
Looks like you just made it to the end of the video and witnessed 10 overpowered anime swordsmen who can't use magic. If I've managed to leave any anime out in particular that you thought would be a great to show on the list, then please let me know in the comment section down below, as I'd love to hear your opinion, or just comment down below your thought about the video in general, as I'd always appreciate the feedback. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.